How are you doing? Another lovely day here actually in the yard. Not too often that we get weather like this, but it seems to be keeping up for these videos here, so I can't complain too much. This is another breaker that we have into the yard, and this is one of the cars that came in with the video we put up of the cars coming in on the loader. So as you can see, there's not actually a lot of damage to this one. This here is a 2024 Tesla Model Y, and unfortunately it is going to be written off. It's a category B car, so when a car is a category B, it means it's for braking only. It gets written off, and there's unfortunately not much that we can do about it. A lot of people will say just fix it, just put it back on the road, but there's nothing you can really do. Once it's written off and once they've decided that it's a category B, that's it. It's completely illegal to put it back on the road. A lot of people do like to say all you have to do is export it to put it back on the road, but it's not something that we would be in the habit of doing, as once again it's not something you're actually meant to be doing with them. So whoever does tell you down in the pub to go and do that, do not listen to them, because you shouldn't be doing that. So we'll just give you a little bit of a look around this one, and you can have a look at it and see what you think. This one here is a bit different from what we usually have because there's not a lot of damage. We obviously do try to buy cars with as little damage as possible so we can actually sell the parts of it, but yeah, we'll get a look around it, see what you think. First thing we have to do is we'll need to get a bit of power onto it to show you how to get into them whenever the 12 volt battery has died in them when we get them into the yard here. Right, so for anyone who's never had an issue getting into a Model 3 or Model Y, this is how you do it whenever your 12 volt battery dies. So especially whenever you're coming up the winter and stuff, a lot of people seem to have issues with their 12 volt batteries dying. So if you ever do have a problem with it, all you have to do is pop your tow eye cover off here, and you have a positive and a negative here that will pop your bonnet if you put power to it. So we have our booster pack, and so we'll put these leads on, and sometimes you can take a try or two, and then you'll see the bonnet pops open. So once you pop the bonnet, then just pull it like normal, and then what you do is put your positive on here, and then you put your negative on somewhere with a bit of bare metal. We usually just go for this bolt here because it's one of the quickest and easiest, but if you can find one that works the same, it doesn't really matter, just once you're putting power through. So we will take our booster back again, put our positive on. Do all this with one hand, so it's a bit of a nightmare. It's working a bit better that time. So usually you'll hear some of the motors and whatnot working once you've started to put power through the car. So we'll see now that the door's open, that there is power going to them, and we'll take a bit of a look inside here. So if we hit the brake pedal, we give the screen a second to come on. But as you can see on the inside here, so curtain airbags on passenger side and driver side have both blown. The seat airbag here has also blown. And strangely enough, it's not something you see very often in these, but the roof glass is actually cracked on this. So I don't know. It's a bit strange because it doesn't look to have a hard enough impact to actually affect the roof glass, but unfortunately the way that cars work, whenever they get a bit of an impact somewhere, it'll send the power usually throughout them, and it can actually end up affecting other areas. So I think it's actually kind of pushed this crack in There's a random bug I've never seen in my life there as well, so if anybody can identify that, I don't think you can even really see it on screen. That's quite strange. Right, so what it's doing at the minute is it's asking me for a key card. The key card's inside, and this one actually isn't going to go into drive, so there's not really much point in me going to get the key card. But what we'll do is we will show you that if we go in here to miles, you can see there is only 38,000 on it. So it is unfortunate. Now, it is in good enough condition inside. The only thing I would say is the steering wheel here. It has unfortunately seen better days. So what happens a lot with the heated steering wheels in these is they usually end up that the leather stretches and whatnot, so you either have to get them recovered or get a new one. So if anybody has that problem, hop on to evbreakers.com. we do have some good ones in stock. So now, for the inside, let's have a good proper look at the damage. So we have everything open again here now, and we always leave the boot open because it's a lot easier to leave it open for when we need to get back in to get parts. But if we take a look at the damage here, this is what is meant to be the bad side. Now, there's not really a lot wrong with that, I'm sure you can agree. I personally, if it was my own car, I'd be happy enough to fix something like that. Whenever you start to get into stuff with massive damage on quarter panels and that, and the quarter panel's been completely driven in, that's when it becomes a bit more difficult to actually fix things. But if we have a look here, bar the charge port door and the light that has some scrapes in it, that's obviously an easy fix. There is some denting in the quarter panel here, so it looks like something has driven down that way and has hit it. Now, a lot of people that are good at metalwork could probably fix that. We need arch trim, so they're usually not that expensive and easy enough just to pop in. But probably the biggest issue in this is the two doors. So you can see here there is quite a lot of dents in this rear passenger door, and then this front passenger door is completely wrecked. So it's obviously dented in quite a lot there, and it is on the body line. So a lot of people that do body work would say it's an absolute nightmare and they wouldn't want to work with that. At the front here, you can see where the main impact has come into the wing, so whatever has hit it has hit this side good and hard. You can even see on the wheel that there's a load of scoring the whole way around it. So something has definitely hit this good and hard, because it's obviously bounced off here off the wing, bent the door back a little bit and taken the wing mirror out. So it is a pity to see, because it probably, I don't know, I would say it probably shouldn't have been written off as easy it was. You can see obviously it needs a headlight as well, but bar that, like, the bonnet's good, and I'll have it open at the minute to keep power on it, but like everything's working. Even these doors are still working even though they're damaged. Now that one there is catching a bit at the front, but whenever you bend a wing back to that shape, that's what is going to happen. So yeah, all in all, this is what we get a lot of the time. A lot of these cars get written off. Now, I think one of the biggest things that does affect it with these is down to, well, one, at times the price of parts, and two, sometimes can be the waiting parts. So sometimes with parts on these, not just Teslas, it's a lot of cars, there can be a good bit of a wait time at the minute for stuff. So you're waiting for stuff to, a lot of times, come from manufacturers across the world. A lot of times some of the stuff's coming from China as well, waiting for parts to come. So whenever it's sitting there, it's actually sitting in a body shop somewhere, and on top of the cost of actually repairing it when the parts come in, you could have storage fees at that body shop. You could also have fees for a rental car. So if they have a car for, there's parts I've heard of that could be in 2-month back order, and that's if it even lands in on time. Sometimes the back order dates are not right. So what can happen with these is you're sitting for months on end with a rental car, with storage and whatnot. So costs just start to add up and add up. So by the time somebody actually assesses it, by the time they have a look and say, well, we'll go around this car, so say it needs 2 curtain airbags, it needs a quarter panel, it needs an arch trim, it needs wing, 2 doors, front arch trim. They would even possibly say a wheel, because obviously the wheel's been in a strong enough impact, you don't really know if it's been damaged beyond repair. It's gonna need a full seat. It's gonna need, well, I think the belts are actually okay. No, well, that belt's out. So what happens a lot of the time with assessments as well is whenever the belts are out, they can recommend to actually change all of the belts. That is another cost. So you're not just buying 1 seat belt, you're buying 4 seat belts. You need airbag ECU and whatnot as well, so the cost will start to add up, unfortunately, on it. So this is why stuff is getting written off. This is why we're seeing stuff like this coming into our yard. Do I fully agree with it? No. Am I happy enough to get cars like this for breaking? Yeah, absolutely, because it means that I have a lot of good parts, a lot of parts that we can sell for people, and it means that this car is going to get stripped. It'll get the parts taken off it and sent all over the world, and it'll keep multiple cars on the road for longer. So look, if any of you need anything, hop onto the website or give us a ring. We're more than happy to help any way possible, and if you want to see anything else, let me know.